All right. Today on Good Times, Bad Friends, we're joined by someone whose story reaches far beyond scorecards and trophies. Gail Graham is a Canadian Golf Hall of Famer, LPGA Tour winner, coach, mentor, and lifelong ambassador and friend of my family. And it just goes further to prove that I'm the least most successful person that I know that's within my family or family friends. But in this conversation, it's not just about winning tournaments, it's about longevity, it's about resilience, it's about how sports can reshape your identity, your standards, and the kind of person you want to become over the time. From learning golf at the age of 13 in Winnipeg to competing on the LPGA Tour to now helping teach and grow the game for others, Gail's journey is full of lessons that apply way beyond golf. If you enjoy this conversation about leadership, sports, growth, perseverance, and purpose, please make sure that you follow us on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, and all the fun stuff. Because, like I was telling Gail offline, we're trying to be super hip and beyond social media. So, Gail, welcome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
My pleasure.
I told you it was going to be super structured, and then it was going to get super relaxed. But
There you go.
we always like to start. I just open it up, and it's actually funny. Like we've never had the conversation before, but just kind of tell me about yourself. You can start as early as you want. Just kind of give a quick snapshot of your life, your story, and kind of what shaped you along the way to get you where you are
Sure.
today.
So, as you mentioned, I played golf in Canada growing up, one of five kids, the fourth of five. And so maybe got a few more opportunities than my older siblings did. And one of those was to play golf along with my little brother. And the two of us would just go round and round and round the golf course. I started when I was 13 and picked it up pretty quickly. I was very, very fortunate to have a patient golf pro who put my hands on the club and said, hold it this way and just go do it. And then parents who would take us out on the golf course and we'd play and goof around and a group of kids at the club that played every week, really enjoyed playing every week. So we got out there a ton. And before very long, I was having pretty good success. I think within a couple months, I'd broken 100. And then by the end of that season had broken 90 as well. So my very first season, I was relatively successful in playing, not consistently, and then from there just played through high school, the only girl on the boys team because there were no girls teams back then, and made my way to Texas to play at Lamar University in college. And that kind of set me off on a track of, boy, I could do something with this game and maybe we'll give it a try and see what happens. And now, 40 some years later, here I am.
Yeah, just kind of shaped your whole life. Now, for me, and it's so funny, like whenever McKenna and I travel, I didn't really travel much as a kid. Like I thought going to Oklahoma was a long way. Are there things like describe growing up in Canada? Like you kind of have these things that just everybody knows about Texas. Y'all say y'all and there's this kind of stigma about certain things. Are there certain things like that about growing up in Canada? Or like what's some of the things that if you were to talk to
Sure.
any Canadian, they would know?
They would know. So I learned to play golf in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is a 9-hour drive north of Minneapolis. So cold, cold, cold in the winter and hot in the summer. And we used to
Mhm.
joke that it had two seasons, winter and mosquitoes. And the golf course that we played at, St. Charles Country Club, was on the Assiniboine River. And there were times where you would have a white shirt on and you could barely see the white for the mosquitoes. It was so unbelievably crazy. But it also had, 4 o'clock in the morning, the sun was up and it stayed up till 10 o'clock. So you could play 18 holes after dinner. And that was kind of fun to do that. But, Canadians say A. I don't say it that much anymore. And I don't think I ever did because the Eastern Canadians say it more than the Western Canadians. But I always got razzed about that because I went from A to y'all. And now I get stuck
Yeah.
in between every now and then.
Yeah, I did notice that early on. I was like, man, it's like I wasn't trying to be mean, but I was like, I'm pretty sure Gail's not from Texas. And McKenna was like, yeah, she's from Canada. And I was like, I thought I heard that, but it was true. Like I've never heard you say A. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
that's so weird because it's just one of the like when you say Canada, that's kind of one of the first things. Like, no, but obviously somebody that's extremely naive and doesn't know anybody or has never been to Canada. I'm like, well, isn't that like taught in school? Don't they always say A? But that's good that you made the distinction there. I actually never knew that. So like when you're growing up there, I know that you were talking about being the only girl on the boys team and everything. What was it like? Were certain things, I mean, obviously you think of hockey, but getting into the golf game in Canada, is that something that's pretty normal? Is that something that was a little out of the ordinary? Like what kind of got you first going towards that?
Well, Canada has more golfers per capita than any. I
Really?
think we rival Sweden. Yeah. Like
Wow, I did
golf
not
is
know
a
that.
big deal in Canada. Yeah. So it's
Huh.
like golfers and especially golf pros. Golf pros would play golf in the summer and curl in the winter. So you've probably seen curling in the Olympics. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like
yeah.
golf pros did that because it has the same kind of touch and feel kind of
Yeah.
thing. But geez, I totally lost my train of thought. Where were we? Squirrel.
Yeah, just what just so like you were getting it, which, wow, I didn't know that about how many people actually play golf. Like, was there
Yeah.
a particular person? I know you're talking about like the pro put the club in your hands and all that kind of stuff, but like,
Yeah.
what was the initial like, wow, I'm kind of hooked on this?
So I had been playing tennis, and I was getting pretty good at tennis, and my parents had this golf membership, and my brother had started to play a little bit, and I wiped out in the parking lot of the tennis club and had a scab that went from my hip to my ankle. And so I
Ooh.
couldn't get out there and run around. So one day it was pretty much healed up. My parents said, "Why don't you come out and watch us, come out with us to the golf course?" And so I walked with them and I didn't play. I basically semi-caddied. I got the flag and did that kind of
Mhm.
thing, but we got done and I said, "I'm never doing that again. Can I please play?" And so the next week we came out and the pro put the club in my hands, and that was on a Friday, and on the Sunday we went out and played and I shot 59 for 9 holes. And when we came in, my dad told the pro that, and he said, "Did you count every shot?" And my dad said, "Of course you did. She counted every shot, holed every putt." And he's like, "Oh, she might have some ability here." And then I was so enamored by it. I played every other sport up until then and was kind of a little, tomboy and just loved being outside. And then being outside with my family was super fun. And I got hooked, and like the rest is kind of history. Although I did, unlike a lot of kids now where they really focus early on one sport, I did play
Mhm.
everything through high school. Volleyball, basketball, badminton, softball. I did everything that we could possibly do through high school. So that kind of kept me in shape. And then playing on the boys team was just I wanted somewhere to play, so they let me play.
Yeah. Well, especially too, like you want to find the best competition, and sometimes like
Yeah,
I like to me, there's no bias. You're either good enough to play with a certain group or you're not, and I can say that from being the second worst. I think I can beat Doak right now, but anyway, I think my brother-in-law's last. But like being the second to last golfer in my entire family, like I can tell you from very personal experience that it doesn't really matter. Like when you're good at something, you can compete with just about anybody. And actually, I was going to bring that up because I think there's a big push today, and this kind of jump around a little bit, but like you said, I think people specialize a little too early. Like I think
yeah,
you see people that have the Tiger Woods mindset where they're trying to get their kid to swing a club, and like for me, like Graham swings a club, but I don't force him just to swing a golf club. So, do you feel
right.
like that helped you playing those other sports? I know you're talking about how it kept you in shape, but like, can you expand on that a little bit? Because I think that's a huge misunderstanding today, and not only I think is it a bad decision, you don't develop other skills, but
Yeah.
those kids get burnt out, like, that's all they've ever done since they were 3 years old, like, by the time they're 15, it's like, "I don't wanna do this anymore."
Exactly, exactly. I think it's awesome to play every sport that you can because it develops other aspects of athletic ability that you don't think that you use in golf. And, perfect example is me teaching now. I run into a lot of, 50, 55, 60-year-old people who are just starting to play the game,
Mm,
and they have what they think is no athletic ability. And I said, "Well, did you play anything growing up?" And they said, "Well, yeah, baseball or tennis." And, I'm okay. So I can relate the golf swing to throwing a ball or to hitting a forehand in tennis or serving in pickleball, which everybody seems to want to play right now. But the athletic moves are similar in every sport. And I think it's important to develop those, but I also think it's important for kids to be involved in team sports. I think
mm,
it really, really solidifies something we don't have in golf. And I know that a lot of people who've only focused on one sport, they don't ever have that team aspect. And so they
mm,
are a different breed. And when things go wrong, they don't know what to do. They don't
yeah,
have anybody, they don't feel like they have nobody to support them because they've never learned to, give support and get support in another aspect. And golf is very singular. But when you look now on the tours, everybody has a team. Everybody's got a team
yeah,
out there and your team supports you. Well, you need a team right from the get go. So you might as well put them in everything that you can and let them figure out what game they're going to play. Or, if they're going to excel at something that it'll show. And you may find, I know a young man that I played with, his mom on tour, Donko Jones, Jimmy Jones. He played hockey until he was 16. And then he went, I'm never gonna make it to the NHL, I'm gonna switch to golf. And he had played a little bit, but he ended up 2 years later with a golf scholarship, and now he's
wow,
trying to make it to the PGA Tour. So,
wow,
go figure, late bloomer kinda thing, but he played all the team sports, and I think that's
yeah.
important.
Well, I think especially, like, for older people, there's a golf is the only sport that will give you a huge regret, like, "Why did I not start this sooner?" But at the same time,
Oh, yeah.
I'm very grateful for the fact that I played like, I grew up and I played football, like, all the you get down to Texas and there's not much badminton or tennis or anything like that, which is funny because I'm a big pickleball advocate because I get out on a tennis court and I'm terrible, but if I shrink the court a little bit and I go to, like, ping pong or pickleball or something, like, I feel much more confident. So, like, I've always been a huge advocate because, like, I understand what my gene pool is gonna pass down to my boys, and I love them to death, but if we
Yeah,
specialize, I'm just gonna waste a lot of time, and they're gonna be done by the time they're 17 anyway, when they
yeah.
can go learn these other skills. And to me, I've always been a bigger advocate of I think sports are a vessel to teach you how to work with other people to
Oh,
make other
yeah,
people better. Like it doesn't matter how you perform, can you make the people around you better? And I think if you do
yeah.
that, you could easily transit like going from playing hockey, you can easily transition into more I guess a more individual sport and be able to
Mhm,
jump
mhm.
in and have a little bit more success. Learn the skills, it's obviously much more technical going to learn the game of golf or anything like
Yeah.
that, but I think it's more of the characteristics that you pull. So, like, I guess what I've always wondered is kind of jumping back into your story, how do you go from Winnipeg to Lamar University? How did that process
Well,
happen?
so Coach Pat Park, she recruited a lot from Canada, and she had success with players 10 years before I ever showed up. And when I got to Lamar, Don Coe was there and Patty Jonas, and they were both seniors. And then another Canadian by the name of Leslie Price came in with me. And a coach knew that she could recruit and have us be put us on academic scholarship as well
Mm,
as athletic, and so that spread out our athletic scholarships more, and she knew we could toe the line with their schooling and all of that, so, put a little pressure on you the first couple semesters because 'cause you're like, "Wait, what?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
supposed to be a student and play golf? Like, I thought I was
yeah.
just coming here to play golf," and, so she was smart to do it that way, and actually my senior year, our entire travel team for a few events was in completely Canadian, which was kinda cool.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, she was one of the first to start, recruiting, international players, and then there was a Canadian coach at Arizona State who recruited a few, and then it just started now the Europeans started to come and the Asians started to come, and so now you got everybody from all over the world.
I was gonna say now, even we played in Glen Rose, and that's where Tarleton was practicing at, and
Mhm.
they showed up, and I think every girl on their team had, like, a flag on their bag from, like, a different country, so
Yeah.
now there's a huge push to go oversee it, and you see it kinda happening, like, you see it taking over with football, like, the NFL is going global, and I
Yep.
think they're trying to chase just making every part of our game international, so, like well, actually,
Yeah.
we kinda come back to that, so, like, you being at Lamar, what is I mean, obviously, you're around different Canadians, but, like, what's your because I just think that's so crazy, like, I grew up, probably 5 hours from
Yes.
Lamar, like, being up in the
Yeah.
North Texas area, and, like, I had no idea where it was, so, like, what are your first thoughts when you get off the plane, like, first couple weeks at Lamar University in Texas? What's going through your
Wow.
head
Like,
there?
it was a bit of culture shock, So, we're talking 1982, so I come out of Canada where my high school has 400 students.
Oh,
There are 2 Black families, and neither of those were African American, actually, they were, I think, Nigerian, and I can't remember what they're Jamaican.
yeah,
And I arrive at Lamar, and now there's 15,000 students, and I'm like, "Whoa, there's a lot
yeah,
of people here." And we were in the white students were in the minority, and it
mhm.
was a bit of a culture shock. Plus, I was used in September putting my golf clubs away for the winter and playing everything else, and now it's 90 degrees and I'm gonna play golf.
Yeah.
"Wait, I'm
You can go
tired.
till,
Don't I
like,
get to take a
January,
break
yeah.
now?"
Yeah, you
My
got plenty
season
of
just
time
wrapped
left.
up, and, "Oh, wait, now we have another season?" So that took a little
Yeah,
bit of getting used to, and Beaumont is an interesting place to drop yourself when you've come from,
but
big, beautiful skies and wheat
yeah.
fields to, holy moly, oil refineries and all that kind of fun stuff, so it was interesting. It definitely served its purpose for me because I played with the exception, I think, of 2 or 3 events my freshman year when I was injured, I played every event for 4 years.
Wow.
So, the small enough team that, excelled, and then I played well, so then it gave me more opportunity.
So fast forward till today, because I think this is
Yeah.
kind of a good off script thing, talking about how your coach is good about spreading out all the money and the academic scholarships, and what do you think about? the college sit like, how would you adjust to the system today with NIL and there's more scholarships
Wow.
and the rosters and everything? Like, what do you think about today's world of
It's mind-blowing now. It's, we saw amateur golf start to go that way where they could get some sponsorships and help with expenses and that kind of thing, and now with the NIL, it's kinda mind-blowing because these kids are professionals before they ever hit the college scene, and they may not even make it as a college player. To play
exactly?
D1 college golf is like playing professional golf. It is
Mhm.
tough. You are regimented with a schedule. Your practice, your academics, take a back seat. So it's kind of interesting to see that kind of develop. And then you have there's a young lady down here in Florida who I'm not sure she'll ever make it to a college team, but she want to. But she's like famous, Gabby Golf Girl, because she's just
Oh,
been on
yeah.
social media, right? And
Yeah.
she's I think she's one of the good goods now,
Yep.
it's bizarre to me. So that's everything changing. So, you see so many players, especially on the LPGA Tour, really young players coming out on
Yeah.
tour. When I got out on tour, probably the average age was at least somewhere between 25 and 30, and now the average age is,
Wow.
20,
Yeah.
22. It's pretty
Going pro
crazy.
super young.
Super
Well,
young,
especially
yeah.
like you see,
Super young.
and then now you see more of those stories of, like this 17-year-old makes a cut and
Yeah.
like it wins the US Open or that it just wins
Yeah,
all the amateur
leads the
tournaments and
PGA Tour
everything. Like,
event. What?
yeah. And you're like, that's
Yeah,
crazy. Like me at
yeah,
17 playing a professional golf tournament. Like, yeah, right. Like
yeah,
nobody's ready for that. Very few people are ready for that. Well, I think like, for me, and I always look at this from a football standpoint, honestly, like, that's just
yeah,
where my background is, that's where I'm comfortable is, like, college football, I don't know if it was a good thing just letting the floodgates open. I don't know if that's necessarily how it
yeah,
happened within the college golf game as well, but, like, to me, I think there should have been some guardrails, like, there should be some
there.
bumpers set up. Like, if I've never been bowling before, I need the bumpers. Like, if not, Imma throw a gutter ball every single time. So,
Yeah,
I think with all those opportunities and then you look at a place like Florida and you can get an NIL deal when you're in high school. So there's a kid right
yes.
now. We had another guy on our podcast that lives down in Florida or whatever, and he was talking about this one kid transferring around and he was playing on these youth teams that were paying him six figures to play on their youth team. And now there's high schools that are offering him a multi-million-dollar deal to go play for their high school in
Oh
Florida.
my lord.
And
That's
so
crazy.
obviously that's a pretty like extreme scenario, but like do you see any tampering going on? Like do you see those kids kind of trying to, bite off more than they can chew or there are people getting a little crazy behind the scenes or anything? Is there anything going on like that in
Well,
golf?
I think I think I think, with a team sport, you can be, sort of a superstar or a really great player, but you can also hide behind your teammates and they
Mhm.
can support you. In golf, it is you and only you. So
Yeah.
if it could be a really nice rise and a fast rise, and it can be a really painful and devastating fall. So when you see that, you kind of go, "Ooh, I hope these kids are well rounded enough, or the parents have a clue enough to be able to control the things that are happening and keep them grounded," and because
Mm.
you can fall off the deep end pretty easily. But I haven't heard of too many crazy, crazy things, but it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, well, and when I came out on tour, it was hard to find sponsors. And now it seems
Yeah.
like every player coming out on tour is jam-packed with stuff all over their collars and
Oh,
shirts
yeah.
and everything. Yeah,
Well,
they're
well, because
walking
now, like,
billboards.
yeah, if you're gonna write me a check to be able to go travel and not be in the negative to go to a tournament, it's like, yeah, I'll put your patch right here if you want me to. So I feel like
Absolutely.
and obviously those businesses just look for opportunities, like, if I can get my name out there, I'll put it on as many shirts as I possibly can, so I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
people almost fall victim to just letting anybody sponsor them, and then I don't know if you're stuck with certain things or anything like that, but I don't really know the inner workings of that, but you were probably grateful that you were in the time that you were. So like, and I guess I know a little bit about the process. I don't know if it's changed, but like now you're at Lamar, you have a chance to kind of take it to the next level. What did it look
Yeah.
like then? Is it still Q school? Like what are the steps you had to go through to get to that point?
So I actually stayed amateur for 2 years. I played on the Canadian national team, so I got to travel Australia, New Zealand, Colombia, Venezuela. That was pretty fun. And then to go through the Q school process, there were 2 stages, and you could go through the first stage twice. So there was 2 different dates. So if you missed at the first one, you went to the second one. So and then you went to final Q school after that. So in my first attempt, I shot 80 in the last round of the finals and didn't make it through, missed by like a shot. And it was, of course, devastating at the time, but it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it just showed me that I wasn't really ready. And then the next year, I won one of the sectionals and then finished in the top 10 in the final school and had to go back after my rookie year to requalify. But it's a tough, drawn out process, and it's a little harder. It's even harder now just because of the sheer volume of numbers of players.
Hmm.
But the scores that like I kind of learned to play consistently at lower like shooting lower scores when I was out there. You can't do that now. You got to have that in your repertoire now and before you go out there and be pretty confident in that because you're going to events where under par is missing the cut.
Yeah.
And that's, gosh, I played well. I shot a couple under par and I'm down the road. That would have been very unusual in near the end of my playing career, it got to be like that, but it's crazy now because it's close to par or it's under par to make the cut, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit harder. And it's sheer volume, and it's better coaching and earlier coaching, and the opportunities. I think there's more opportunity because there's more interest and there's more coaches and there's more retired players that are coaching that are now providing some not just instructional value, but also the innuendo type things like, here's how you manage yourself on the golf course. And, oh, by the way, did you eat on the golf course? Like you should be eating on the golf. You have all these,
Yeah.
one person can give you so much information if they've lived it and played it.
Yeah. Well, especially now, there's just this natural evolution. Like even in football, certain things you did 20 years ago, it's like, oh man, like why in the world were we doing that? So I think there's just this natural evolution of, okay, now you should be eating on the golf course, or now like maybe
Yeah.
you get in the gym a little bit more, it kind of keeps your body a little bit
Oh
more
yeah.
healthy. Like watching Rory's routine is very
Yeah.
impressive. And
It's
like I show my
insane,
high
right?
school football kids all the time. I'm like, hey, and I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm like, this is a professional golfer, and look how he is training and growing his body. Now you have to
Yeah.
go hit another human being, so you should be training and growing your
The
obviously,
same.
there's a
Yeah.
little bit of merit to that right there. So
Absolutely.
and luckily for people like you that have gone through that were at those ranks, and then now you're turning around, and I think that's what they mean like, to me, I think that's what they mean by growing the game. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily just getting more people to specialize earlier, like, that doesn't look cool. It's, "Okay, how can we make this better? When I played, we were doing this isn't really the best thing, this is what I learned, and then now moving forward, let's do it the right way." So, like, for you, when because like you said, like, people have this team around them. When you get on tour, like, obviously, it's the same thing, like, when you go from Canada to Texas, you're pretty much ready for any kinda jump you can make, but was there something that you had to get used to? Like, you first get on the tour, like, are people different? Like, you trying to have the same conversations? Like, do you feel like you have less support? Like, what's kind of the things you had to navigate the first couple years on tour?
Well, you knew all these people from college, right? And you're thinking,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay, well, she was kind of my friend in college, or she was my teammate in college." And, yeah, they didn't really want anything to do with you, especially if you were playing bad. If you
Yeah.
had a series of missed cuts, they're like, "Oh, yeah, stay away from me." But because it became the job, right? It became your
Yeah.
job, now you gotta excel at a job, not just, being a member of a team. So we used to joke because we were friends in the locker room, but as soon as you got to the first tee, all bets are off. I'm trying to kick her butt just as badly as she's trying to kick my butt.
Mhm.
There was actually one British Open that I went to, and Michelle Estel, who's from Arizona, and I decided we were going to room together. So, which meant we were renting a car together. And then because we were doing that, we played practice rounds together. And then we played Monday, Tuesday, and then Tuesday afternoon, the tee sheets pairings come out for Thursday, and we're paired together. And we're like,
Oh,
oh my God, I've seen way too much to do this
way
week.
too much, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And it rained and it was miserable, and we had stuff all over our hotel room trying to dry stuff out in Northern England, and it was just like, "Holy cow." And so but we would laugh about that because then we get on the golf course, it's like, "Well, I like you, bud." It's like, "Good shot, bud.
Yeah, but
I'm trying
I
to
hope
beat
you
you, so
blade the
stop
next
doing
one,
that,"
yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's probably one of the biggest things is you go from that team aspect of college golf, and then you're out there and you are definitely on your own. Because nobody's gonna support you as a teammate, even though you may have been a teammate, 3 months earlier at school. Now you're all by yourself, and you have to do that on your own, and you go from, the coach planning everything down to when you're eating and where you're eating to now you have to
Mhm.
manage all of that. So it's a bit of
Yeah.
an adjustment. And that is why I think so many, especially of the young players, have teams of people around them when they're on the golf course, and then they just stay. They can't it's doable because we did it. We all did it. We had to manage
Yeah.
ourselves and book our own hotels and all that kind of stuff, and airlines and the whole shoot and match. But to have somebody else do that is surely takes the pressure off for sure.
Yeah, especially now, but I think there's still that aspect of you probably wanna battle through some stuff yourself, like, Do you
Oh,
have
yeah.
to tell people certain times, like, listen, you don't have to run to a person, or you don't always have to get a second or third or fourth opinion, or like you don't
Mhm.
always have to have someone to tell you what to do. I feel like there's a lot of merit to that individual resiliency of being able to fight through some things that happen. So is like for you, is it more of the physical, like, man, I'm playing a lot of golf right now, or was it more of like a mental adjustment having to get used to going from college to professional?
So, we played a lot of events in college, we didn't play them in a row. So you had to
Mm.
learn how to play 3 or 4 or 5 events in a row, and actually in my rookie year, I ended up playing 9 events in a row, and by the ninth one, I was like, my mental capacity was just gone. Physically, I was okay, I was a little tired, but my mental capacity to make good decisions was just, like, gone because you
Yeah.
just get so fatigued. Because golf is very consuming.
Yes.
Everyone thinks, okay, well, he hit a bad shot. You got to collect yourself and leave that shot behind. Now in football, you can go hit somebody. You
Yeah.
get mad, then the next play you go hit somebody, and then they're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I feel better now. But you can't do that in golf. So
Yes.
you have to
100%.
you have to learn to be resilient and package things away and compartmentalize things. And it's on the good side and the bad side too. If you make a really great shot, maybe you make a hole in one, you gotta go to the next hole. Now you better capitalize on the next hole and not lose
Yes.
those shots that you just picked up there. So, and I think that's, when you look at Scotty Scheffler, he's so good at that. And this year he's
Yeah.
shown a little chink in his armor, but the last 3 years he's been phenomenal at it where he makes a mistake and then it's gone. Like,
Yeah.
he'll reel off 3 birdies, like, you're like, "Wow, how do you do that?"
Mhm.
And, I heard Matt Kuchar say once that, "There's 2,000 guys out there who want my job, so I better forget about what I've done
Yeah.
and work on the one that what I'm doing right now because I can't rest on my laurels at all."
100%. And
Yeah.
I think that's where it separates a lot of people. I don't necessarily think it matters how many people actually go after something. I think it's the people, and this is the biggest generalization across all sports and life itself. It's
Yeah.
anybody can celebrate hitting a hole in one. Like, that's when you're like, "Oh, man,
Yeah.
everything I'm doing is paying off." Like, I scored a touchdown, I'm like, "Oh, man, all my hard work's paying off." But it's the moments where you shank or you duff a chip or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
those are the moments where those are the people that stay on tour. Those are the people that are resilient. Those are the people that can always be in the lead or battle back from anything. Or it's like, "Oh, man, Rory hit it in the water again." But then for some reason on Sunday, he's gonna battle back into it. I think those are the people that are
Right.
really gonna separate themselves are, like you said, the people that can look at it and say, it doesn't matter what just happened, good or bad. It's almost like you can be neutral going all the way through because
Yeah.
bad stuff's going to happen. And then that reaction right there will tell you everything you need to know. And it almost solidifies how you're going to do for the rest of your life, is how you respond to
Yeah.
those bad
And in
moments.
and in golf, it is truly one shot at a time.
Mm,
Because you can't get ahead of yourself. You can't say, "Well, I'm gonna hit it from there up on, 250 yards from the hole. I'm gonna hit it from 100 yards from the hole on this next shot." Well, you might, but you might be over here instead of over there kind of thing. So
mhm.
you really have to be focused on that one shot and be present where your feet are. Hit that shot and go, "Okay, now this is what I've got." So now I can try and, take my game
Yes.
plan and go play to that. So, it can be emotionally draining in whether you're demonstrative in your emotions when you play or when you're level when you play. It both require a lot, energy. It's a lot of discipline to stay neutral and stay neutral to positive. And that's a
Yeah.
huge part of that.
Yeah, and that's probably why I gravitated towards football because, like you said, you could just turn around and I would be so mad, just beat red, and I'm like, "Good, I can go put my face mask in somebody's chest, that'll make me feel a lot
Yes.
better." So, like we were talking about earlier, like you get your revenge, or people get revenge on you with your
Yeah.
kids. So, like right now, I'm teaching my 3-year-old, like you don't have to freak out about everything, and please don't go fight people just because you're mad. And so, like I've
Yes.
always had this saying of like the thing about golf is it's the only sport where the harder you try, the worse you do. Like every other sport I played, like I can get on the basketball court and I may be terrible, but I can haul butt and I can run and I can out hustle people. But like
Yeah.
if I get on the golf course, and this is what I used to do, like I used to just be like, okay, well, now I'm just going to swing really hard and there's no way I'm going to miss the ball. And sure enough, I miss it enough and almost kill somebody. And I'm like, all right, let me, calm down. And so, like for me, it teaches you so fast how much control you have to have over yourself, which is
Yes.
just so important in anything that you do. But then for sure, you get out on the golf course and it's like nobody's in control of your swing more than you are. So if
Right.
you're going to freak
And
out and be a baby, yeah, exactly.
you're not in control of anybody else either. So when you get
Yes.
out there and somebody's playing slow or they're chirping at you, there's nothing you can do about it. You can take control of how you react to it.
Mhm.
And, the quickest way to get somebody who's chirping at you is just to ignore them.
Oh,
Just say, "Okay,
100%.
well, you go ahead and chirp all you want, but it's not gonna bother me." And slow play kind of freaks everybody out, and, in country club golf and in the people that I teach, they're all about "Well, there's a group behind us, we gotta hurry."
I know,
Well,
I
n
know.
no, because there's nowhere to go. There's a group in front of you
There's a
too.
group in front of you, so it's like it's not gonna help anything. Well,
It's not gonna help.
I've always thought too because, like, I mean, I don't play it I mean, I play public courses where they're gonna be booked up all day long in their tee sheet, and the way I think about it is, like, if you're paying to play golf, you have no right to talk about pace of play or anything like that or get mad at anything else. Now, if they're paying you to play, and I still wouldn't think about stuff like that, but, like, the people that think about that stuff, you're right, it just absolutely drives me crazy. It's like, just be like Michael Jordan, just go build your own golf course if you wanna play your own way, your own pace, and
Exactly.
anything like
Yeah.
that. Like, that's the only solution because if you're gonna go somewhere where you pay to play, there's probably somebody there that's gonna play really slow because it's not their life. It's not their livelihood because
I had a woman at the club, she arranged Thursday play for 12 ladies,
Mhm.
and she was they let her know who was gonna play, and then she'd make up the groups and everything, and she came to me one day, she goes, "Gail, I have a huge problem." I'm like, "Okay." She goes, "They keep hitting into us, like, I'll be in the first group, and the group behind us will hit the ball up on the green while we're still on the green." I go, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah, and there's this one particular person who keeps doing it." She goes, "What do I do? I don't wanna, like, confront her." I said, "Well, the next time she does it, whoever the ball is closest to on the green, fall down." Sh I said, "Fall down." She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, pretend that they hit you and fall down." I said, "I guarantee you they'll never hit into you again.
Yeah,
And then you don't have to deal with the conflict, and that'll tell them that, okay, the group behind you is supposed to stay in their place, and there is a pace of play. It's not race around the golf course kind of thing." But
exactly. And
she
and it's
actually
like
did it, and they loved it.
yeah, and it's like it's supposed to be that way, and at the end of the day, like, you are outside playing a sport and hopefully beautiful weather. Hopefully, you don't go out there when
Yeah.
it's just pouring down rain or anything like that. So, like, what do you really have to rush for? You are planning
Yeah,
6 hours from your day to go do something, like, and now you're in a rush? It's like, come on now. And,
right.
Colin actually, me and Colin, we have a really funny story. I took him whenever he came to Temple for the first time, I took him out to go play golf, and me, like, I'm still working on my temper a little bit. I am a former football player, so there's a reason why I was doing that, and same thing. Group behind us is just like hitting to us more and more and more. And like I'm trying to get him hooked. So I'm like, hey, like take your time. We're talking through stuff. We're having fun.
Yeah.
Like we're being really focused on each shot and meticulous and everything. And so finally we're on like the 16th hole and they bomb one like and it hits our cart. And I'm like, that's it. And
Oh,
Colin goes
geez.
easy. And I'm like, I'm not gonna go fight him. Like I'm too old to go fight. I'm a grown man. I'm not gonna go fight people on a golf course. But I just casually walked over there, picked up the ball, and there was just a whole creek on the last three
Bye-bye.
holes, just a creek on that side, and I just chunked it. And I just waved at him. We got in our cart, and then like once again, didn't happen again. Because it's
Yeah.
like once again, if you come up here and you play through on us, there's another group of four, and then there's a group of five, and then there's a group of four, and it's like,
There's
where are
nowhere to
you gonna
go.
go? It's
Yeah.
sunny, it's beautiful, we're all gonna get sunburned, we're hitting some good shots, we're hitting some bad shots, like, really not that big of a deal. Okay, so now for the cool part, because I know really cool people, and it's always awesome when I get to brag that I know people that are a lot more successful than me. So now take us through, I know, like, obviously, you're battling on when you're young, you get there, I think it's an adjustment for everybody. Obviously, you made it through, you were resilient, kinda kept your head down and grinded everything. Tell us about the first win on the LPGA. How did it feel? What was it? And then just kinda take us through what happened. Like, was it a cool story? Were you leading the whole time? Did you have to battle a little bit? Like, what was the story on the first win?
So it was 1995, and I had, um, naively gotten rollerblades, and I'd gone home from a tournament from a few weeks on tour in April and was out rollerblading on new rollerblades, and I got a rock caught in the wheels, and I
Oof.
did the splits from the knees down, trying to
Oh,
keep myself from
no.
falling. Right? So I tore my posterior cruciate on my right leg, and
Oh.
I had to no surgery, but I had to wear a brace, and that went literally from my hip to my ankle, and so for the rest of the entire season, I wore that brace. And we get to the end of September, and I'm now down to just a smaller brace, but I'm sick as a dog. I've gotten just bronchitis. I got a horrible cold. It was miserable. I ended up staying an extra day in St. Louis because there was no way I could fly because my ears were so bad. So I fly into
Mm.
Charlotte on Tuesday morning and go play a quick practice round. And I wasn't putting very well, so I just grabbed a putter from the ping rep and said, "Oh, well, I'll try this one." And get out the first day and shoot 67, and I'm like, "Wow, okay." That was
You're like,
cool.
this is not yeah.
And the next so 66 was leading, and then the next day I shoot 68, and I'm like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" That's kinda crazy. And, I had been taking cold medicine, and I'm like, "Okay, well, You gotta wear the same socks. I can only
Yeah.
imagine you had a few little things that you did, right? Ate at the same place. I'd breakfast at the same place every day, and I just kept taking this cold medication. Well, by Saturday, I was feeling pretty good, but I thought, "I'm not taking it." So,
Mm,
on Saturday night, or Saturday afternoon, I had a one-shot lead. I shot 71 the 3rd round, and I had a one-shot lead, and there was a black tie dinner for the commissioner that night, and I arrived late because of you have to do media and stuff after the round, and I went around to different tables and I talked to Patty Sheehan and to Beth Daniel and to Meg Mallon and to Pat Bradley. And I said, okay, so you got a one shot lead coming up 18. Do you go for it? Because it was a hittable par five, but there was water short. And they all gave me their 2 cents about it. Yeah, yeah, you do. No, you don't. Depends on what's happening. Is that the person who's one shot behind you playing with you? Could they still make birdie? All the scenarios I played through. So when I went to bed that night, I was like, okay, we'll see. It's kind of a see how it goes situation. But when I got to 18, I had a one shot lead and short par five. So I busted it. I hit this huge roping hook and I ended up like 165 yards from the hole. And the person who was one shot behind me hit it in a fairway bunker. So I knew she had to lay up. But I
mm,
also knew she had a great short game. So I thought, okay, well, it's like a 6 iron. Like, why wouldn't I
yeah.
just go for it? So I hit 6 iron to the very back of the green and she hit it up her third shot about 15 feet above the hole. And so now I played my third shot and went down 10 feet past the hole. And when she missed, it was like, ah, so I could two putt to win. And then I made the putt. So I won by 2 shots, but it was pretty cool. I felt like I was in a bubble all week. And, you hear people talk about the zone and that was like my first experience of really being aware of me being sort of not unapproachable, but nobody could bother me really. Like even if a marshal hit me with the going under the ropes, grabbed the rope and it went up my face and knocked my hat off and I got a road rash on my nose from the rope and I was just like, okay. And I just picked my hat and that was not a reaction I would normally have. It was like no big
Yeah.
deal. And I felt like everybody was moving fast around me, but I was moving at a really just comfortable pace. It was
Mhm.
bizarre. So it was cool. It was like it was a pretty cool experience to do that. And to, talk high, 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 right? You're super excited, you win, you collect the trophy and all that kind of stuff. And then the next day I went and did a Habitat for Humanity build. So it's like, talk about bringing you back down to
Yeah.
the reality of, okay, you did this and now, here's real life, because
Mhm.
my dad used to call it Christmas every day playing on the tour. So it was a lot of fun that way. But at the same time, there's a nice grounding effect afterwards. But the first one was pretty special.
No, that's awesome. It's something, especially too, everybody's like got this really cool story, and it's like you were sick before, and then you fell on rollerblades. Like I did, like man, just to get to the tee box, you were probably like, man, I'm just
Yeah.
happy to be here,
Oh,
healthy,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
No
not be
no
have to be,
expectation, you have no
yeah,
expectation, you end up playing a lot better.
no, for
Go
sure.
figure.
And then
Yeah.
especially too, like you get in a position where you're like, okay, like I've gotten myself here, just keep doing what I'm doing. Now you can be a little
Yeah.
superstitious along the way, which is funny. I've actually never been very superstitious. Like even when I was playing baseball, I'd step on the lines on purpose. Like I would change my socks on purpose, like just to prove a point. So it's kind of
Yeah.
funny that you say that. Like, were you always that way for your entire career?
Not really, I always carry 3. I still do. I always carry 3 tees in my pocket. Gotta be 3, can't be
Nice.
4, can't be 2, it's gotta be
Yeah,
as soon as
that's
one
so
breaks, I'm
funny.
getting another one.
Yeah.
And it was like I didn't have a favorite marker or anything, but that was like really the only thing that I would be kind of freaky about, just making sure I had that. It was
That's
weird.
so funny. Yeah, because I like me, I would do stuff on purpose. Like everybody's like, "Oh yeah, like it's make sure you wear your socks again." I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm gonna switch them on purpose just to show it." Like, did you
That it really
like? And it,
doesn't mean anything.
yeah, I know. Like, I guess, what's the thought process behind it? Like, you're just like, let me just just is it like a win mentally? Like, is it just like a good reminder of like, okay, like I'm doing good things here, so it leads into my like,
Well,
what's the thought about having
golf is a lot about consistency, right?
that is
So
yeah,
being
that's true.
consistent
That's
in
true.
in how you approach things and how you do things, like going to bed at the same time every night and getting up at the same time.
True.
I had a 3-hour rule, which was not hard and fast because if I had a 7 o'clock tea time, I was not getting up at 4 a.m. I would make
Yeah.
sure that I had everything ready to go so that I could sleep till 5 a.m.
Yeah.
But if I had a really late tea time, I would try to, stay in bed till 3 hours before my tea time. And now guys are at the gym 3 hours before their tea time. So it's kind of
Yeah.
bizarre, but just a different world. But you try to be consistent. So if you can be consistent in how you approach things maybe and how you eat. And when you're on the road, you're gonna hit the places that you know you're not gonna get sick from eating.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
That's
go to a
true.
strange Mexican restaurant the night before
You're
the
not gonna
final
try something
round.
new. Yes. That would be the
Sushi
worst idea. Like,
restaurant before,
yeah,
yeah, no, not a good plan. So you stick to the things that you know.
that's true. I think that would be my biggest superstition is I would never try anywhere new. Like you said, like I wouldn't go to like a Thai buffet the day before. Like I'm going to Whataburger. I'm going to somewhere that I know is consistent. They're not gonna mess anything up. Like
Yeah,
just microwave my chicken nuggets and don't mess anything up. Give me some good fries.
yep,
Let me dip it in ketchup, and then I'm going straight to like that's
you'll be ready to
I
go.
say that's probably like my thing. I'd be like, all right, I can celebrate on the weekends, but like get me through the practice rounds, get me to this tournament as healthy as possible. And I may
Yep.
I may be on a smoothie diet all week. But and so now like you kind of look back like for you winning multiple times, playing
Yeah.
as long as you did, and then I want to make sure we get enough time for you to talk about what you do now. Like, do you feel like you just kind of identified with what you've done your whole life and then you just wanted to continue to coach? Like, did you always want to coach? Like, what kind of got you into the role that you're in today from just like all the stuff you did before that? Was it just like a continuation? You want to stay around the game? Did you want to change it up? Like what got you to what you do today?
Well, the game gave me so much in playing, and we always did junior clinics and
Mhm.
sometimes adult clinics when we were on tour, and that started with when the LPGA started. Patty Berg was famous for the clinics that she would do, and so it carried through. So you were in your rookie year, you were required to do so many, and then as the years went on, you'd help out doing stuff, and you'd go do events, and
Mm.
they'd ask you to do a clinic or do an exhibition of some kinds. I guess I probably have felt like I've always been sort of a teacher of, and shared things about the game and other things in my life, but about the game so that, you know, somebody new coming into the game, it took me 10 years to learn this. So I'm going to tell it to you now so you
Mhm.
can start working on it now so you don't have to wait that long. So, and I tell people now I have had 3 careers in golf. One was playing, one was on the administrative side, being outside the ropes, running golf tournaments, and now teaching. And of the three, this is by far the most rewarding because money gets spent, right? And playing is great, but it's kind of selfish. Now,
Mhm.
being able to give back to somebody and give them the opportunity to play the game that I love and just know that there's so much that you can get out of it, the social part of it, the learning part of it, and that's partly why it's so good for kids is the things that you learn, your honesty and your integrity and politeness, taking your hat off and shaking somebody's hand.
Mhm.
And there's just so many lessons that you learn along the way that you don't even realize you're learning the lessons. And then the next thing you know, you're doing it and someone comments on, "Boy, that's really nice that, you did that." And it's like, well, it's just kind of what I do because I play golf and traditions of golf have brought me that far. So I get a, I get sort of a strange kick out of watching people kind of get it. And I have a lot of fun with it too. So I spend a lot of time laughing and most of the time I'm laughing at them.
Yeah, yeah.
Although I'll tell them I'm laughing with them, but, not long ago, so the range at, where I teach at Esplanade is an aqua range. So you're hitting floater balls into the water, and there's houses up the left-hand side of it. And a couple that had lived in another part of the community moved in there, and they were talking about pickleball and how much noise the pickleball courts would. And someone asked them, "Now you've moved closer to where the pickleball courts are, can you hear them?" And they're like, "Nope. We sure don't hear the pickleball courts, but we can hear Gail laughing on the tee." I'm like, "Well, at least you know you're having a good time,
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's the worst
Le
thing you hear. At
yeah, I
least
was
I'm
about to
not
say.
swearing."
Yeah, at least you're not hearing people, cussing each other out or
That's
doing anything
right. Yeah.
stupid or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
you could hear a lot worse, I'm sure, around some of those
Yeah.
golf courses that some people live at. Yeah, and it's so funny that you say that because, like, the thing that I've taken kinda being in the coaching realm is, like, my career's over. So if I'm just trying to validate, like, how much power I have or if I have to tell everybody kinda what we're talking about, it's kinda hard to bring up in casual conversation like, "Oh, yeah, I played on tour and I won, like, multiple times," and all that kinda stuff. It's
Yeah.
not a typical greeting that most people have, and I was talking about how, I give Mackenzie a hard time for that too, but like for you being able to turn around and when someone gets it earlier than what you did, like that is my whole motto. Like I'm not loyal to the 15 to 17-year-old kids that I coach right now. I'm loyal to the 30-year-old version of them that's going to have people
Yeah.
depending on them, that's going to have life figured out with real life consequences. So like is that and I guess you can explain out just a little bit more, but like how many times have you seen it to where it finally clicks for someone a little bit earlier than it did for you? You kind of see yourself in people. Like have you had situations where you've kind of seen yourself in someone?
Oh gosh, yes. And one thing that I had through instruction for me was not just, here's what you do. Do this, and
Mm.
no grounding or background behind it. I've managed to find instructors throughout my career who have taught me not only this is what you do, but here's why you do it, and
Yeah.
here's how it affects things, right?
Mm.
So when people learn that way and they understand that, okay, you've got no external rotation in your shoulder, so you can't go back like this with your hand. We can give you space in your setup and how you set up to the golf ball so that you can physically make the motion without having to have your shoulder participate because you've got a replaced shoulder or whatever it is.
Mm.
It's pretty cool to see them go, "Oh, okay, oh, I never understood that before," because they're going to come to the tee and tell me what they're doing wrong, and I'm like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
they
No, that's all right.
I stand up or lift my head, and I go, "You don't physically lift your head in the golf swing. You might stand up, but
Mm.
why do you stand up?" So when you take someone back to the beginning of and it all stems back to setup and how you set up to the golf ball. When you give somebody the basis to when they're on the golf course, be able to say, "I'm doing this, so I must be doing that," in the
Mm.
beginning, and then they can correct themselves on the golf course and being resilient, and that's fun to have them watch that and get that. I've got a young kid that I just started working with who doesn't take practice swings and never stands behind the golf ball when he sets up. Now the
Whoa.
kid hits it 300 yards and shoots in the low 70s.
Whoa.
And his dad said to me, he has no routines. And then we're seeing this sort of pattern now where he gets it under pressure. And because he has nothing to fall back on, like routines and process, he folds a little bit coming in. He might make a double, but then he can't make par on the next hole. He's going to make another double. So we went out on the golf course last week, and all I did was have him stand behind the golf ball and take a practice swing behind the golf ball, and then stand there, look where he wants to go, and walk up and hit the shot. And oh my God, he was like, "Oh my gosh,
He's like,
what is
wow, this
going
is
on?"
this is life changing.
It
Yeah.
was like an epiphany, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and tell him the philosophy behind it, and he's like, "Oh, okay, now I understand why people do that then."
Mm.
'Cause he never really I mean, he'd see them do it, but he didn't know why they did it
Mhm.
and didn't really have any coaching to let him know that. So that was like the kid's gonna I mean, the last 5 holes of our 9 holes, he was hitting it on a string to what his target was. And he's
Yeah.
like, "Wow, why is this happening?" I said, "Because you're going through
Like,
this process." I said, "You need to
exactly.
go watch a professional golf tournament and not see it on TV so you can see how things progress."
Mhm.
Because you're gonna see the guys do it exactly the same every single time. It's
Yeah.
not a crapshoot. I'm gonna take 1 practice swing this time, I'm gonna take no practice swings. Okay, well, they're gonna take 1 at least. They're
Yeah.
gonna make
Yeah.
sure they're feeling what they need to feel before they do it. So, um, yeah, I get a kick out of that, so it's kinda fun.
Yeah, and especially I'm glad you gave that example about, like, the new age type of kids and
Yeah.
just people in general, like, people wanna know why more than ever, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind telling you the why because I think there needs to be a purpose. Because, like I said, like, 15 years ago when we're going through football practice, we're doing stuff now, I'm like, "If I made my kids do that, I'd fire me." Like, that had nothing to do that had
With
no
anything.
positive effect on it. Exactly, they were just doing
Yeah,
it basically just keep us busy, so I think
yeah,
as long as you're able to lay out, "No, no, this is why I'm telling you to do it this way because it's gonna help you. This is why people do it," giving examples, like, just allowing them to see it in real time, like, "Okay, this is a net positive for whatever I'm doing, whether it's my golf game or my mental game or how I approach
yeah.
things." Like, as long as you show them, "This is why I'm showing you this. I'm not just trying to prove that I'm a coach and I'm powerful and I know it different than everybody else." Like,
Right.
I'm sure there's no magic sauce in golf anymore. Like,
No.
it's allowing yourself to be as mentally strong as possible, take it one shot at a time. There's some technical stuff I can help you with, but at the end of the day, like, this is the secret sauce is making sure
Yeah.
that you can be as controlled as possible in every thought that you have within the game of
You know,
golf.
what the first golf book I ever got was a Jack Nicklaus book called Golf My Way, and it was all illustrations. So it was all cartoon-like pictures of Jack
Mm.
and the little bubble above his head saying, "This is what I think about, this is what I do." And he talked about the pre-shot routine. And there is video on YouTube where it's black and white on one side, at one split screen, black and white on the left and color on the right, and they're 20 years apart. And they time him from the time he starts to walk to the golf ball till he sets the club behind the ball in both color and black and white. They're within like hundredths of a second
Wow.
in the amount of time. And then they started again, and his contact with the golf ball is hundredths of a second. So he was way
Really?
ahead of his time in terms of the sports psychology and the process and doing it the same. Nobody
Mhm.
talked about that back then, but he did it, and that's why he was so good. And he always he always visualized when he was hitting a shot into the green, he always visualized the ball landing on the green and rolling into the hole.
Really?
Yeah, like, I always visualized it going on the green where I wanted to. I never thought about that, having it
Yeah.
take the break and go into the hole. So, wow, it's kinda
Yeah,
like,
that's a
that's pretty amazing, right?
that is. Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
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 usually I'm just looking, I'm like, "Okay." I just see it flying the direction that I'm trying to set up to aim to. Like, I'm okay with
yeah.
that. Whether
This is
it's
where I wanted
rolling
to
on the
actually the
ground or it's
spot where I
exactly.
wanted to end up. That's
Exactly,
crazy.
like, as long as
Yeah.
the direction's okay and it's not going towards, like, somebody's house towards a pickleball court or anything like that, I'm totally okay with that. So, I guess now, I mean, with you, like, having all those memories to fall back on, when you take a look at and this is kind of the fun stuff I like to talk about, like, with you being at the highest level, and we were kinda talking about it before we went live, but what do you think about the professional game today? Now, I'll probably lead into the PGA and just everything like, obviously, you talk about what happened with Live and everything, but, like, what do you think about the professional game today?
So, it's interesting, the level of play. I mean, there's always been players that have hit it 300 yards. Jack hit it 300 yards
Mhm.
with a wooden club and a Balata golf ball, which is
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
wild to
So,
think about.
interesting, Cam Young was playing a golf ball that supposedly last week at the PGA and the last few weeks that conforms to the new what they think is gonna be the new distance parameters to keep the game sort of, it in a little bit, and he's still hitting it over 300 yards off the tee.
Yeah.
So, go figure. I think it's very golf is very cyclical in the professional ranks. You have players that come up and you'll have one player that'll dominate like Tiger. And
Mhm.
then or Jack or Arnie, like, there were other players that were great, but you heard their names all the time, and now it's Scotty, but there's 10 players that semi-dominate. Oh, they're always there, the Xander Schauffele's, the Rory McIlroys, the Cam Youngs, where they're constantly in the top 10 or top 15, and you look at the LPGA, Nelly, I think last week was the first time she finished out of the top 2 or 3
Yeah.
all year? Like, what the
Yeah.
heck? Like,
I
that's
saw that and I was like,
incredible
"Wow, that's
consistency, right?
incredible." Yeah.
That's nuts because you usually have in golf or probably in most sports, but in golf, you peak, you play well for about 6 weeks, and then you cool off for about 6 weeks. Not even 6 weeks,
Mhm.
maybe a few weeks. But and it's part of the because of the way the schedules are built and how you prime yourself for majors and stuff, but the game's in an interesting place. The women's game's in a great place. I think the
Yeah.
men's game was very fragmented by the live, and now I mean, I don't know if I read as true that they're possibly filing for bankruptcy, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
But
I
well,
I
I
don't I
know
don't know
I
if
know
that's
they
true or not.
pulled all their funding, I know that because there's been a lot
Yeah,
of guys they were talking about how some of those guys were acting like, leading up into the Masters and everything, they were just a little bit more like they just seemed a little off, and then now that
yeah,
came out, and I'm like, "Okay, well, that shouldn't
yeah,
be surprising," because, like, to me and I'm very impressed with the women's game as well, like, going international, there's a lot of different people that are winning, there's a lot of different people that are playing really good golf, and it's on both sides, but I think you're seeing a lot in the women's game, but, like, I just don't see why that would be a good idea because the game was going to such a good place. I just thought
yes,
it was so weird that all of a sudden this other organization was like, "Oh, we can do the same thing." I'm like, "No, no, no." Like the game of golf has been doing it this way with the PGA and the LPGA for so long. Like
yeah.
I don't think you can take a piece of that pie anymore. Like I just don't think there's any other entity that can come in and do what professional golf has done through the avenues that it's done with the
No.
PGA and the LPGA.
It waters things down, for
Yeah.
sure, because 'cause you're dividing the best players up into two places that are 2 very different things, and kind of the interesting thing with the live players for me is every time they come to play in a major, they are good for 3 rounds, and then there's
And then
1
they
round that they're not
fall
good, and
off.
they're
Yes.
not used to playing 4 rounds anymore.
Mhm.
And there's it's a more mental thing that is physical. There is a adrenaline level that you are in when you're playing 4 rounds. And when you change that to something that you're not used to because there's no music playing and it's not loud and it's
Yeah, it's not you're
traditional,
not
it's like
yeah, there's not like a
next
beach party
level.
going on behind you, like, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
and like and
So
like and
it's
like even me oh, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I haven't been around long, but I appreciate the nostalgia of golf.
Yeah,
I appreciate it it's like a gentleman or a gentlewoman's game, and
yeah,
so, like, the things about, like you said, taking your hat off, shaking hands, like, it's
yeah,
quiet, you appreciate the golf clap, like, all that stuff that has stood the test of time, like, the coolest thing, like, me, I've been a football guy my entire life, but if you said you can have tickets to one major sporting event, I'd go back to the Masters, 100%.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because we went there in 2019. It's like all those little things you hear about that is just like these cool little, like respectful things that they had. They're all true and then some. So it's like
Yeah.
for me, it's the integrity of the game itself. And that's
Yes.
just like where golf goes. That's where baseball is. That's where football is. Like there's things you can't mess with. Like basketball's went down the drain in my mind because they've allowed it to. But those other sports, like the integrity of what the game has always been, it hasn't changed. And I don't think it has to change. And so when people
Yeah.
come in and try to change it, like it almost makes me mad. And I've only been playing golf for like 7 years at this point. So I could only imagine
Yeah.
like someone like you that's done so much, like the game's done so much for you and you're trying to give so much back. And then now you see people trying to like, I don't know, kind of be a little greedy within the game sometimes.
And that's a good way to describe it. The money was the full attraction for those guys
Mm,
because the schedule was supposed to be short. There was only supposed to be so many events. There are gonna be 3-round events. You can go home in between. Well, now they're scheduling them all over the world. They're
yep.
traveling more than the PGA Tour players are
Mhm.
able, they're going home, Monday, Tuesday. And so it's kind of interesting that it worked that way, but, I'm a traditionalist too. Like, I grew up, knowing who the Gene Sarazen's, and the people that came far before me on the LPGA, the 13 founders, and I actually got to play with some of the founders because I came out just at the right time where they're just at the very ends of their career, but, there's tradition in that game that is important. I think it's so important to maintain, and when you go to, even people will say, "Well, the guy's wearing shorts." During practice rounds on the
Yeah.
PGA Tour, it's hard to start to know who they are. Like, "Oh, that guy has legs. Wow, that's Justin Thomas. Ooh, he's really skinny." Like, you don't realize how little he is when he's got pants
100%.
on, right?
100%.
And so it's kind of funny. So even, like, going to that is kinda like, "Oh, that's weird." But, going to the live formula is bizarre. You can't follow a scoreboard. Like, there's nothing pure, and the
Yeah.
Masters is the purest because, and the British Open's the same way. They've got the scoreboards where they put the numbers up, and it's fabulous.
Mhm.
And I'm a total traditionalist that way, but I think the rules of the game, even though they've changed them and made them a little looser, I think they still manage to keep the integrity of the game intact, and hopefully they don't ever go away from too much of that.
100%. And then you look at something that has lasted this long, has been
Mm,
this productive and this popular, and it's just like, guys, you don't have to overthink this. The wheel's always gonna spin. Don't change the wheel. If it ain't broke, don't
yep.
fix it. Like that's about the most American thing that you could possibly do. Keep it like a hot dog. There's not much you have to do to a hot dog. It's a hot dog, and everybody's gonna eat a hot dog for the rest of their life. So it's like,
That's
please don't
right.
change anything, guys. So, okay. So I know I thought that was pretty good. That's probably some like, when you got down to Texas, you probably heard some one-liners and you're like, "I have no idea what that
Yeah.
means. I'm
Oh,
so
yeah.
sorry." Anyway, so at the end, we always do a little rapid fire thing, and
Yep.
it's based on what you filled out and everything. So I know it's rapid fire, but I mean, for me, it's so hard for me sometimes to answer. Like, I'll hear a good question, I'm like, "Ooh, I need more than 2 words." So if you need a little bit
Okay.
longer to answer these, it's totally okay. Usually, we go back and forth with all the guys that are here, but this has been awesome. And then obviously, anybody that we have that's in a specific realm that I'm interested in, I kinda wanted to hit on, like, what you thought about kinda today's game and everything like that, so that was just kind of a bonus for me. So
Cool.
they're a little bit more on the fun and the lighter side. So what's your favorite golf course you've ever played at?
That's
I
hard.
know.
That's so
That's a
hard.
tough one. I know.
There's a
You
lot.
can give 2 or 3. You can give 2 or 3 because 'cause I'm
Okay,
sure you've
so
like, with how much you've traveled and
I'm gonna
everything.
say the 1992 version of Oakmont, which had trees, and now they don't have trees anymore. I have to say my home club in Winnipeg that I grew up at, St. Charles Country Club. Spyglass Hill, which is,
Oh,
out there with
man,
Pebble Beach, and
yes. I
Pebble
know.
Beach, but I think Spyglass is just a phenomenal course.
Yeah.
If I had to play a golf course every day for the rest of my life, I have to pick in my own hometown, the Kelowna Golf and Country Club. It's just picturesque, it's pretty. I grew up there, well, I didn't really grow up there. We lived on the 2nd tee, and we never played
Yeah.
golf, and then I moved away, and I come back, and now I'm playing golf, and my brother's the head pro there now, so, it's kinda nice.
So now
But
you're playing more
it's so
golf there than
pretty.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So there's lots.
Yeah, that's oh, man. Yeah, because like, for me, Spyglass has always been on my because everybody wants to go to Pebble Beach, but not everybody
Yeah.
has $800 to spend on a round of golf. So, I've
True.
always heard that that's, like, on the same par, and it's, a little bit less expensive, so maybe I'll change it. I just need to teach for the next 50 years, and I'll be able to afford one round there, so that'd be pretty nice. I'll see if maybe I can tap into old, Jack Jack. He seems to be helping all the
There you
grandkids,
go.
so
Jack
I'll
Jack
see
likes
I'll
to go.
yeah, I was gonna say, I'll see if he can spoil his son-in-law too. What is the most underrated golf skill in your opinion?
The underrated golf.
The most underrated golf skill. Like something that you could
Skill?
possess within your golf
Ooh,
game?
underrated. Managing the human that plays it.
I was
Ooh.
gonna say putting because it's so important, but I'm like, "Nah, I wanna go hit my driver." So that's for me, I feel like most amateurs are like, "Why would I go putt? That's easy." And then you six putt
Yeah,
every
it
hole, and then
counts
you wonder
just the
why.
same as that 300-yard drive.
Yeah, exactly. Even though I don't know what direction it's gonna go, but it sounds cool if I can try to hit a 300-yard drive. So, uh, what's the, um, what's the hardest thing about having a golf course mentality?
Ooh, that's a good question. Dang, these are hard.
I know, sorry. Thanks to, ChatGPT, not really our sponsor, but we're throwing everything into AI. It makes us sound really, really smart
It
sometimes.
makes it sound really good. I probably, oh man. God, that's hard. I think probably that one of the hardest things about golf and keeping that frame of mind and everything is distraction. There's so many things that distract you
Mm,
that you see a squirrel. It's like seeing a squirrel, and the
yeah,
things that distract you are your thoughts in your head or people or whatever. But that I think that's one of the hardest things to control is just keeping the distractions from, even if they're just little thoughts in your head.
100%. Me, it's not wanting to throw my club in the water after I hit just a shot that I didn't wanna hit. It's like the water was just on the right. Why did I not just hit it left? Anyway, would you rather be in a coffee shop or would you rather be on the driving range?
Oh, driving range? Are you
That's
kidding
what
me?
yeah, I was reading that question, I was like, maybe she put something, like, super specific about coffee, but I was like, even me, I was like, I'll skip
I
the
think I
coffee shop
know.
every single day."
A summer moon maybe, but
Yeah, yeah, I mean, if you could be at a summer moon, that
that's
changes a little bit
different.
because that's, like, the
It's
best
even
coffee shop
better if it
ever.
was on the driving range.
Yeah, exactly. But man, that'd be a good business idea right there. That'd keep people just highly caffeinated all day. Yeah, you can do it. Just
Absolutely.
come here and get another shot of espresso. You'll be able to hit that
Yeah,
300-yard drive.
yeah.
Don't worry, you'll be able to do it one day. Yeah, just shaking. That's the best thing about your swing. You want to be as compact as possible and as tensed up. What's the favorite or I'm sorry, what's your favorite city that you've traveled to when you were playing on tour? Like what was the city you
Oh,
enjoyed the most where you were traveling?
I liked going to the small towns. Corning, New York is one of my favorite places to go. I think the population of Corning, New York is in the 10 to 12 to 13,000 people. It had the coolest downtown, little Market Street. 15,000 people would come and watch the golf tournament. The
Mhm.
Corning Museum of Glass, where they make beautiful glass and crystal there, is just it's spectacular. It's just upstate New York, super pretty, tiny little
Mhm.
town. Loved it. Loved going there every time.
Yeah, we went there for the first time last New Year, I think, and I was like, "Man, this is, like, the coolest spot." Now, we went to, like, New York or whatever, but I
Yeah.
wish we would've went to somewhere a little bit smaller, like, on the outskirts, but, like, New York is one of those places you visit and you're like, "Man, I'm so" like, Texas seems very small compared to when you cram yourself in
Well,
New
there's too
York
many
City.
people there.
Yeah,
Too
oh,
many
there's
people
way too many
there.
people, and you're like, "This is absolutely insane." Now, it's really fun, but after about 4 days, you're like, "Alright, I need to get in,
Enough
like, an
already.
open pasture and not see everybody within 2 inches of me." Who is one golfer everybody should study and why?
Nelly Corda.
Yeah?
Nelly Corda has one of the most powerful yet graceful golf swings with exceptional tempo. She is mentally extremely strong mentally. Never really shows much emotion. Finally will smile every now and then, but
Yeah.
she's just got one of those games that you got to watch because it's beautiful to watch, and she's not too bad to look at too for the guys.
Listen, I love my wife very much, so I would never say anything like that, but
You can look, you're
anyway.
not dead.
Hey, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna use that. McKenna, get in here. I need to tell you something.
Good luck.
Yeah, 'cause yeah, I'll hang on to that for a little bit longer before our boys don't drive her crazy. But if not, I mean, I know you're talking about how good you were at tennis and you could have been a prodigy there, but if you didn't pursue golf, what sport do you think you would have been playing the longest?
It would have been tennis
Yeah.
for sure, or maybe badminton. I was good at badminton, but there's no professional badmintons.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think you would have made the transition into pickleball like everybody? Like everybody is obsessed with pickleball right now. You think you would have thrown into that, or you like
I watched too many people injure themselves in pickleball. Um,
really
y
in
it
pickleball?
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
'Cause
for me,
you
like
think about it,
I'm not trying to move very
a
fast.
lot of tired people are learning to play pickleball, and
That's
they
true.
could move a little bit side to side, but as soon as they have to go backwards, they
Oh
fall.
no. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
That
you
is
see a
true.
lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
And
now for me, like I'm going to move around as much as I can, but if that ball's too far to reach, I'm just going to give you the point. That's not worth.
no, no, you
It's
won't.
not worth doing anything crazy. Well,
No,
yeah,
you
I'm
won't.
pretty competitive to a point. Now, if I'm like charging the net, I really will. Like people have watched it bounce twice. Like McKenna's gotten me a couple of times. I'm like, I'm not going to do that because, like you said, like one false step and I go into that net, that's much more embarrassing than getting beat by my wife in pickleball because we can forget about that quickly. But when she's driving me to the hospital, we will not forget about that quickly. So
That's absolutely
there are
not.
some things that I will let go a little bit, but you're right. I get a little bit too competitive, but
I'm pretty aggressive and competitive when it comes to other games, so I would hurt
yes.
myself in pickleball.
Yes. I do test myself about your mentality. Like I do have to take a breath and be like, listen, I love my wife. I don't want to beat her by 100 points. Like it's we definitely get tested about stuff like that.
Wait, no, you don't think that she thinks the opposite of that when you're on the golf course?
She
She will
thinks
kick
the
your
exact
butt by
same
as many as she
because
can.
of yes, but because of what she does to me on the golf course, that's when I'm like, when we get in any other sport, like I'm gonna beat you by 1,000 points. Because we
Yes.
get on the and I'll never forget this. Like her and Jackie both, so McKenna's mom for people that don't know or anything like that. And then the first time you watch me swing, like Jackie watches me swing and I hit just a ground ball, like every other baseball player thinking they're going to kill the ball 300 yards without any practice or any prior. And I'm like, oh, I got this big macho mentality. And I hit just like a ground ball, barely past like the ladies' tee or whatever. And she literally laughs at me. And the feeling I got from someone else laughing at me taking golf swing, like I've never forgotten that feeling. And so now I've had like 6 swing coaches, and like every time you come into town, me and Doak are just like, that's a sign of that you really are a great coach. Is when you come to town, Doak and I are so nervous to ask you for help because when you do, like you just ask certain questions like, what do you feel like you're doing? And I'm like, Gail, honestly, I feel like I'm doing everything wrong right now. That's why I'm asking you to just watch. And you're like, I just don't know where to start. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make me feel any better. So like like long story short, she gets every bit of revenge that she possibly wants on the golf course, like just
Absolutely.
absolutely, and
As
she
she
takes it
should.
out of me. Yes,
Yeah.
and that's
Love it.
100% respectful because if I could do the same thing, I totally would. But Gail, thank you. I'm going to be respectful of your time because I know that with y'all's time zone and everything, there's some hockey to watch, and I know it's pretty late. So I do really appreciate you coming on. This was cool. Like we've never really had these
Awesome.
conversations or anything like that. Like we've been family, friends, and connected for a long time, but I don't think I've ever gotten to know your background. So I do appreciate you coming on and telling some stories and me getting to know your background a little bit and sharing everything with us. So hopefully we can have you on again. We really appreciate it.
Would love to do that. Absolutely. Thanks, Justin. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. No problem. Anytime. Until next time, like and subscribe, everybody, what all the cool kids say. I don't really know. I haven't really gotten that far now. I'm an 80-year-old man trapped in a 30-year-old man's body, so I haven't figured that out yet. All right.
Good times, bad friends.